Hi, friends and family.
Welcome to Hope After Addiction
With your hosts, Katie Comer
and Chelsea McLeod.
Welcome to Hope After Addiction. We are so excited that you have joined us for our journey. My name is Katie Comer. I am your co-host for Hope After Addiction. This is
Chelsea McLeod.
We're so excited that you're here with us. Now, a lot of you are wondering how we got into this. And Chelsea, tell me a little bit about your story and why you wanted to start this, and then I'll tell you mine.
That sounds perfect. So for me, addiction started when I was about 4, when my dad left to chase a pill, and then went through it with my little brother, and then went through it with my now husband, John McLeod. And so I've seen a lot of different seasons of addiction to be able to reach families, women, siblings, mothers, fathers. So I've had a lot of intricate details from when I was a child, and I will expose my age, 34, so it's been a long time going through it and healing it, going through that healing process.
Girl, I am 39. I'll expose my age. I'm turning 40.
It's your last years.
I know.
Year.
Not years.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're so close.
Yeah.
Hey, that last year's the best one, they say. Before your 40s.
I know.
Tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah. So it's been a long road, and we'll lead up to why we started this in a minute. But a long time ago, over 10 years ago, I was, my husband was dealing with an addiction, and I knew nobody. Mm-hmm. I knew nobody that was dealing with addiction. Mm-hmm. So this was, I didn't even know what to do. So for me to be a loved one, like you listening, mm-hmm. are a loved one, and having no idea what to do or feeling like you're all alone, mm-hmm. that was completely where I was. Yeah. And I remember when he was going through the addiction, he was going through rehabs. He failed some rehabs. Mm-hmm. He was praying, and we'll get into like deeper into our testimonies here in a minute, but he was praying, I'm going to go to a Christian rehab, and he went to a Christian rehab, and honestly, I just needed some help. Mm-hmm. I needed some help on what to do. And I remember walking through a Christian bookstore, might I add, mm-hmm. and it was like empty aisles of somebody, just tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. Yeah. Do I stay with my husband? Do I leave my husband? How do I support him? How do I trust him again? That's where I was. Mm-hmm. And there was nobody telling me what to do. There was no books. There was no CDs at the time. There was no podcast. There was nothing mm-hmm. telling me what I needed to do. And so over the years, naturally, as my husband has recovered, he is free from addiction. Mm-hmm. Yes. I have had many opportunities, as you have as well, to speak to moms, husbands, mm-hmm. brothers, sisters, on what we need to do from mm-hmm. here on out to help our loved one, mm-hmm. or what do I need to do for myself?
Yes.
And we've had many opportunities to share mm-hmm. that there's freedom from addiction. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so we just needed a place to mm-hmm. share our stories, to share the things that helped us through mm-hmm. our journeys. And that's this.
Yeah, that's it. One of my favorite quotes is, be the person you needed. And I think in those seasons, we didn't have anybody. Even as a child, I didn't know. But especially as a loved one of my husband. And I remember I started with Al-Anon and sitting in those Al-Anon rooms and seeking and searching, and I sat down and a lady gave her testimony. And I just remember sobbing, because for the first time ever, I felt understood, and that somebody was going through the same things that I was, and understood the pain and the every bit of it, all the things.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to be for you.
Yes.
That are listening here on this podcast, and hopefully begin a journey with you. This is just our introduction on who we are and why we started it. And it's kind of funny how we started it, because Chelsea and I, we've known each other for a long time, years and years. Sure. And between the both of us, we were actually talking about this before the podcast started up, but we thought, we were like, yeah, we have maybe like combined 15 years of being clean from this and being free from this, right? And walking through this. But you were saying it's actually probably a little bit more than that.
More. I mean, just from starting as a child,
Yeah.
you know, that's, let's say 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as it progresses, and I mean, I've called Katie many of these seasons, and she's helped me walk through it, and we've helped, you know, salon conversations or whatever it may be.
Yeah, she's my hairdresser.
Yes. So
So we have a lot of salon talk.
we do about this very thing, which
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of you listeners do too, because
Yeah.
your hairdressers are your people.
Yeah, she's my counselor sometimes, and I'm for her. So we've really had some really great conversations, and through that, God has really burdened our hearts for the people, for the family members, for the loved ones who are walking very lonely in a very lonely world when it comes to addiction, because a lot of times you want to hide.
You do.
And I wanted to hide. And so it's a very lonely place. And we just wanted a central place for you to come and feel just not so alone. And so as she's doing my hair and doing it all up and stuff, we're just like, we just need to do something. And we have had a lot of ideas through the years on what to do. And it just came down to this podcast. And Chelsea called me up one day. You want to tell them about that?
I will. This has been birthed for a long time. We just haven't actually labored it, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a sermon series at the church, and God just wrecked me. I mean, altar, 3 Sundays in a row, women's class, I mean, tears. And so I text Katie and Adam, and I was like, put me in, coach, whatever that looks like, wherever that looks like. So, we decided to jump off the cliff together and just go head deep in this family ministry, because we know what a need it is, because we didn't have that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we, literally, she called me up and she was just like, all right, it's time. We just need to literally jump off the ledge.
Literally.
We just need to do it. We need to do it, and we need to jump off, and we need to start it. And there's so many people hurting right now. We get calls all the time from loved ones. And so, by golly, we're starting it. Hope
Here
after
we
addiction. Yay.
Here.
So we said yes. We said yes to God. We said we are in it. We are going to start it. So we kind of put the wheels in motion, and we're talking about it, and we're like, okay, well, now we need to decorate.
That's right.
And stuff. So we went to Hobby Lobby,
The
and we were
favorite
like,
place.
I know, we went there, and she is a lot better at it than me, decorating and stuff. So we're like going through the aisles, and I was like, that orange thing looks good. That's great. This is good. But no, we went to this one aisle, and tell them what happened. Honestly, it was just such a God thing.
It was a God thing. And we really walked through. We were small talking about the name that God had laid on our hearts. And we go down this one aisle. We're like, we need a verse. And we looked. I guess it was to our right that day.
Yeah, it was.
And there it was.
There it was. This is our verse, y'all. Romans 12:12.
Yep.
All right.
Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer.
Yeah. That's hard when you're walking through. That's a hard verse when you're in the depths of it, the hurt. But we charge you, because Chelsea and I both are at a place in our life where we're super joyful. We are.
Yeah.
We're in a joyful place. We've been patient with the affliction that has come. And we have been on our knees in prayer.
Yeah.
And continue to do so in prayer for our husbands specifically.
Yes.
And for you all. So we looked at that, and we were like, that is literally everything that's on our hearts. And so that is our verse for you all. And we're super excited.
Yeah.
about
God
that.
gave us that
I
day
know, I
so
know.
specifically. And we knew in that moment. I mean, He literally has led this up to divinity. Every bit of it has just been God. And
That's so
even
cool.
it's so awesome. Hope After Addiction too, which is,
Hope
the
After
name that we
Addiction,
chose, because I think we know most of you guys feel hopeless and feel lost. And just to reiterate that there is hope at the other end of the tunnel, and there is hope inside of it, so.
Yeah. And there have been times over however many years we've been doing this that there's certain stories in the Bible, certain things that have come up that even praying over this Hope After Addiction, kind of where we're at. And I know God laid a few stories on your heart, and I'll cover one, and you want to go ahead and talk about yours?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny because Katie and I have been going through the Gospels separate of each other, which was really cool. That's what God's been working. But one of the things, I was listening to a teaching last week, and it's in John 9:1. But he said this, and then he spit in the dust, made a clay paste with the saliva, rubbed the paste on the blind man's eyes, and said, "Go, wash at the pool of Siloam." And that was one of the questions, is why did God make him go wash off in that pool? And the thing with that is God wanted him to walk into healing. And so I was also listening to Tony Evans the other day, and he said, you can't stop a bird from flying over your head, but you can stop it from making a nest on your head. Yeah. And I love that because I learned, because I wallowed in mine for a little while, just not knowing what to do and not knowing where to go. And John chose healing for himself, but I also had to choose healing for myself. And that, so, even the story, there's so many stories of healing in here that just really stuck out to me, because I had to choose that every single day, because I could wallow in it every day, which is what I did for a while. Or I could walk into that completely blind, but with my hands held out with a heavy faith, knowing that God was going to heal all of the pain that had been done inside of my heart.
Yeah. There are literally so many stories of healing. One that stuck out to us was the girl who touched Jesus in the crowd. And I mean, Jesus knew, but he turned around and was like, he said, but he was looking around to see who had done this. The woman, with fear and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. "Daughter," he said to her, "your faith has saved you. Go in peace and be healed from your affliction." And what we were talking about even earlier before this is she chose to touch his robe, right?
Yeah. She said, if I can only touch him,
he will. She had that faith that God was going to heal her. So for us, we had to make a decision. Yeah. Are we going to let God heal our hearts? Are we going to choose that for ourselves? And sometimes that's all it takes, is a choice for you to make, saying, "Hey, you know what? I do want to be healed from this. I'm gonna dive into the Word. I'm going to." There's so many different things, and we'll touch on these in future podcasts for sure. But getting counseling, meeting with friends, listening to podcasts that really encourage you to get healing. God has put things in your life. If you're listening to this right now, God has put this in your life for a reason, that you are literally reaching out saying, "God, heal me." Yes. And that is what this girl did. And her faith alone saved her. So,
which is, and it's so cool. And even in situations in my life, just with healing in the body or whatever it may be, so many times in the Bible, it says, because of your faith, I healed her, because you believed, I did. And so I think it's a position of the heart. And I had to align that with God to say, "God, I'm ready for you to heal this. Like, this is not what you want from me. And this is my testimony that you are going to use these dark nights and these bedside prayers one day to help other people eventually."
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. So we're just really excited to walk. It's a journey. It's still a journey for me, and I'm pretty far removed from the depths of it, the hurt from it. But, as I'm walking through this with the ladies that have called, and I've walked with them through it, I mean, I can still feel the hurt in their hearts. And that is what we want to offer you, is that hope, that there is hope after the addiction. So just stay tuned. We are so excited because this is kind of the format that we're going to be using. We're going to be having some over the next couple of weeks. We are going to be talking about our testimonies. Yeah. Chelsea's going to really dig in deep with her testimony, and I'm going to dig in deep with my testimony. Maybe show a few pictures and just of our families now and what that looks like, and been a journey, but it's where we're at. And then after our testimonies, we're gonna
dig into more topical stuff. So there's many, I mean, as you guys know, forgiveness, trust, betrayal, just how to move forward and how to deal with the things that we do with everyday triggers. Triggers are a big one. And just how to go alongside of them in that healing process while they're healing, but us heal too. And that's something that's imperative, because as they go through healing or go through programs or whatever it may be, we also have to enter that healing so that we can align together. So we're going to hit topical stuff. And then we have an email also, that if there's subjects or things that are on your heart that you want us to touch on and go through the topical stuff, we would love to hear from you guys just with anything that may be on your heart or something that you're dealing with.
Yeah. So we will make sure to put the email somewhere where you can see it, but it's going to be hopeafteraddiction@gmail.com. Feel free, like Chelsea said, to email us with any topics that maybe, like, I'm really struggling with this. And I know trust is going to be the biggest one. So we will hit that, because that is the main topic when I'm talking to loved ones, is how do I trust them? How do I trust them? So that'll be probably one of the top ones. So no worries on that. But if there's something more specific, we want to make sure we hit that in that podcast, that we can say, this is how we overcame this. This is how God taught us to do this. So that way we can be, feel like we're journeying with you in this. So.
Yeah. And we say we don't have it all figured out. We are still walking every day, figuring out this journey. I still have things that trigger me and burden me. And like Katie, we work with a lot of women, and those feelings that still arise, like we haven't, we're not here because we know it all. We're here because we want to walk this journey and share what we have learned through all these years of walking beside a loved one that's going through addiction. So which is fun.
It's exciting. So we'll have those topical stuff. And then something we're really excited about is in the future, we are going to be having guest speakers on our podcast. We are so excited about that.
So excited.
I mean, the Lord just kind of brought this saying, you know what? The topical stuff is really encouraging, like to say, hey, how did you get through the forgiveness part? I literally can't stand them. Or, you know what I mean? Like how do I get past that feeling? Like, I don't know what to do. But it's the testimonies of loved ones and how they got past it. So these next couple of weeks, like I said, we're going to share ours, and hopefully that offers some hope for you all, to see where we were, to see where we are now. But also we're going to bring in some guests that we're looking forward to. We are going to have some mamas on, some daddies on. We're going to have other wives.
Our husbands. That's going to be a fun one.
We're going to have our husbands on. So that'll be fun. And then we have other ideas, but we won't spoil it.
That's right. So, keep those for later.
So we're excited about those. We'll be doing those in the near future. So.
What would you say you are most excited about for this podcast, just direction that we're walking in?
Well, okay. So what I'm most excited about personally is just walking in obedience.
Yeah.
Because for so long, I've just been kind of, how can I help the loved ones? Like, I don't know what to do. And it just made it very clear that this was the right step. So I'm personally looking forward to walking in obedience and seeing how God uses that in my life personally. And then also just hearing the stories of other family members saying, when you said this, this is exactly how I felt, because I hear that all the time, because there's a lot of the same emotions that family members have. They're all the same. So when you hear that and you're like, I don't feel alone, I'm most excited for the listeners to experience that, because I wanted it. I wanted it so bad in my journey, and I didn't have it. But I think that's why God has burdened our hearts.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have it. So I'm excited to walk in that. So
for sure. And the neat thing that God's gonna, every person that listens to this in their own story is gonna get out of the same word that Katie may say. One person may get something completely different, because God is gonna speak that directly to the hearts and to the healing that you so desire and need.
I know. So
which is so cool.
What are you excited about?
So much of it, but I think just coming alongside these families and just getting in that hole with you, because that's what it feels like. Resonating with you, encouraging you to know that this is not the hole that you're always going to be in, that you're going to come out of this. You're going to come out brighter. And just even to the, we'll get into more of this with testimony, but hindsight, and I never, ever, ever thought that I would say this, but I am grateful for this season of addiction because of who I am today.
It's strong.
And that is hard to say, because that season was not fun. No. It was painful. It was hard. But to be able to share that light and that hope that you will come through this and you will be a stronger daughter, son of God, because of what you're walking through right now in this moment.
Yeah. And like you said, like our testimonies, it worked out. We are still, we're still married, and you'll hear more about that. And we realize, some of you listening, it did not turn out that way. But you're still hurting. I mean, you're still hurting, and you need somebody. So this is a place for everybody. We're going to have people on with testimonies who it didn't work out. Unfortunately, there was divorce, there was death, there was something that addiction caused in their life, but God is still faithful to give them hope. So even though you're saying, well, okay, but they're still married and they're happy and joyful. But we realize that that's not the case for everybody, but we're still here to offer that hope and have other people on to share that journey with you as well.
I'm so glad you touched on that, because that is a lot of the stories. Not everybody has the ideal vision that they wanted going through addiction. And so we're going to touch on all of it, because no matter what the end of that season was for you, you still have to grieve and have to walk through that to be able to heal. So I'm really glad that you touched on that too, because we're going to cover it all.
We're going to cover it all. Get excited.
That's right.
I'm so excited. All right. Well, do you have anything else?
I think that is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are so excited to walk this journey with you. That's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. And this is Hope After Addiction.